Hey, what's up guys? This video is going to be a little bit different. Now, I was having a little bit of issue with the airlift suspension. I basically took everything like just piece by piece, spraying tons and tons of Windex and soap on it just to make sure that there wasn't any leaks. But whenever I'd go to air up in the morning, I'd have maybe about, say, 10 PSI difference, which was nothing crazy, but it would just bother me. So what I was actually looking to do is figure out a solution, and in doing some searches I was able to find the check valve is an issue with quite a few people, as well as the other day whenever I tried to start the car, everything cranked up good. Whenever I aired it up, the airlift screen just turned black. I didn't know what was going on. I found a blown fuse, fixed the fuse, and sure enough, the second time I did it, blew right again. So this is gonna kind of be like a journey. You're gonna go through it with me as I'm figuring out exactly what's going on. The first thing I'm gonna do is just check to make sure that there isn't any leaks coming out of the compressors themselves. So I'm looking at the back here. It is nighttime. I don't have the best of lighting, but figured I'd knock it out. While some of y'all are dealing with the snow right now, I'm dealing with some hot temperatures. So what I did is I went ahead and unscrewed these little black pieces. Yours may be a different color, but I have the black edition. And what you're going to do is make sure you have air in your tank and just kind of put a bubble solution, something where you can create a bubble over this little hole right here. Now I have some soap that I foamed up. Basically all I'm doing is just getting a fingerful of it, putting it over the hole, and checking to see if it creates any type of bubble. So I don't know if you just saw that there. I'll try to do it again. I'm already seeing a little bubble, meaning air is escaping. There's another one. You can see this one's actually getting pretty big. So that right there shows that this one, its check valve is leaking. Let's go ahead and check the other side. Now this is the other side. Let's see what happens. Not really seeing much on this one. Try to put some more just in case. Nothing. So this side has a good check valve. It means that this other side, I'm gonna try to clean it first before I replace it. No, replacing it is just a pretty cheap thing, maybe like 10 bucks, if even that. So I'm gonna take this apart, take a look at it. Now before I get to undoing anything here in the truck, I want to make sure that the tank is bled of all the air. So have this little bleeder hose, and I'm gonna go ahead drain all the air out of it. That way whenever I start unscrewing everything, I don't get a mini explosion. So what I'm doing now is just disconnecting this leader hose from the actual tank itself. This little, I guess, female end that's attached to the tank is an 11/16, and this actual portion that is connected to the Viair 444c compressor is a 5/8. So I'm just going to go ahead and undo that now. Now that I have the leader line disconnected from the tank, I believe that what I need to work on is right in here. It looks like there's a little bit of buildup on this. So what I'm going to do is try to disconnect this part here off of this nut. Now this does swivel right down here, but I think I can separate it from right here and right here. Now I do have this part disconnected. I just wanted to show you this. You can see a type of a little like water buildup that blue-green that you sometimes see on your sink, as well as the inside here looks a little rough. So this bleeder valve is definitely going to be the cause. So I'm going to clean this up, see if I can clean up this at all, and just have to go from there. Now, in looking at this piece here, you can see the arrow, meaning airflow can only go in one direction. If you look at this end, definitely tell it has buildup on it, as well as this. Looks pretty bad. Now, one thing I did test is you can blow through, let's see here, here's the arrow, so airflow will go through this way. But if I flip it around, I don't know if you could hear that, but I can blow through both ends, which shouldn't be happening. And from this, it doesn't look like there's a way to take this apart. What I'm thinking is that the spring failed and just needs replaced. So kind of bummed that I can't fix this myself, because I know some that were sold with the older like V2, whenever that was around, those compressors that were sold during that time, you can actually take it apart and service them yourself, and it looks like they've gone to a new way that just doesn't make as much sense. So probably pick this up here in a couple days once I get the new piece. I'm gonna maybe look around locally, but I also wanted to touch on the fact that even though this is with air, I believe from what I've read in some forums is that the 30 amp fuse that keeps blowing on my car is a direct cause from this. Now, I know this is just air, but reason for it is the air is trying to come back, so the compressor is trying to compensate for that air that's trying to return, thus meaning working harder, drawing more power. And from what I saw, some people were doing some, I guess, measurements with it, and were finding that it was pulling 34 amps, which if you have a 30 amp fuse, it's going to blow every time. So I'm really hoping that whenever I get this changed out, it's going to fix the issue, especially thinking that it correlates with this, because the only time the fuse actually blows is whenever I'm turning on the compressors. Okay, now it's actually 2 days later. I went to Granger and was able to find the part here. So this is what it looks like. It's just a little bit shorter than this factory one, but still the same fittings. This is rated to 250 psi, and I looked at the SMC valves. I would have done it if I didn't have to wait. But another thing was, I believe Bag Riders was charging $25 per valve. These were $8 per valve, and I bought 2 of them. So this is the part number here, if you're looking to do this yourself, if you're having an issue. But I'm gonna try these out. Went ahead and bought 2, because if this fitting is already kind of discolored, might as well change out the other one. So I'm giving up this black chrome look to just kind of a basic copper fitting, but really doesn't matter too much for me. So this is what the other one looks like. It's not as bad, but it does look like it needs replaced. So go ahead and put these 2 on. Now looks like it already has a thread locker on this side, basically the part that screws in here. Just going to use some tape and make sure that that's sealed good. Put it back, try it out. Alright, so I now have the new lines put on here with the check valves. Basically I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat. Rather than trying to get the compressors to fill up the tank, I'm going to use this and fill it up to about 90 psi and check for some leaks. So I'm going to do that now and get back with you. So the last thing before I start really putting everything back is just another bubble test. Not seeing anything. Test it one more time. Yep, nothing coming out. So that's a good sign. I'm going to check the connections that I have up here just to make sure that none of that's leaking, and then from there go back to putting in a new fuse and trying it out. So now I'm just kind of fishing around in here to get these fuses up. I do have two since I have two compressors. This is the one that's blown right here. I don't know if you can see, but it has a mark, so I'm going to go ahead and put the new fuse in, and then we'll test everything out. Alright, so y'all get it tested out with me here. We'll see if it works. So it looks like 71 PSI. I can hear the compressors kicking on. So looks like it's doing pretty good right now. Basically I'm just gonna let that number grow, and once it gets up to the desired pressure, I'll go ahead and try to raise the car, see if it gives me any faults. But otherwise, yeah, voltage 14.4, everything's doing pretty good. So I believe that fixed it. We'll do a little bit more checks and then finally finish this out. And 47 PSI, no faults. So let's try raising it. Oh, looks like it blew. Alright, time to go back to the drawing board. Alright, and so looking at all the different wires, making sure that there was no weird ground or that nothing was unplugged, nothing was disconnected or connected in a wrong way. What I've come to learn is that the compressor is actually bad. Now what is odd is the one that had the bad check valve is actually still good. So what I believe is that the other compressor running at 100% kind of was pulling too much voltage and it may have worn it out prematurely. So the way I'm going to test this is to actually put a 40 amp fuse instead of a 30 amp fuse, and that should fix the problem. But otherwise, apart from that, it's just going to be buying new compressors, which I'll probably do anyways, but just for now I want to make sure that the car is up and going. Alright, so this is going to be my one last try at this for the day. We'll see how it works. Okay, so I had to take a quick break because I noticed there was actually a little leak. I'm going to go ahead and go down. Alright, now let's see if we can go back up without it failing. Looks like that fixed it. Alright, so I actually just finished up the recalibration on it. Everything's working good, so I guess just 2.5 years of these compressors are about wearing it down. The 40 amp fuse works really well. I didn't notice any extra heat added onto the compressor, but like I said before, I probably will be replacing them. So I guess the two things to take away from this is if you're having an issue trying to find any type of leak and you've checked everything, it may be your check valve, or if you are blowing a fuse, it's best to check the check valve first. But apart from that, it could just be the compressor itself. And speaking with Airlift, they said that whenever people are calling in, even 100 times a day, that normally always is the compressor. So hope this helps. As always, happy driving and enjoy.